here. And we are recording.
Welcome.
So we're going to get this started. So welcome to the Introduction to Teaching with Canvas online course. My name is Chris Rogers. For those that don't know me, I'm the Instructional Design Technology Specialist here. And it's been my role, and along with Janet Gelb, who is our Distance Education Coordinator, to make sure all faculty are ready by January 2nd when Blackboard usage ends. And we need to be ready and on Canvas, especially for those folks that are teaching an online course. Thankfully, with the load and being able to go 2 people and trying to train 500 to 800 faculty members to be ready by January is a tall order. And we have Diane Finch-Payne from the BOT department. She's going to be facilitating this workshop today, and she's going to be also our lead instructor for this course for the next 5 weeks. So I thank you, Diane, for that. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can start with the orientation for our course.
Okay. Please, Tim, if you would log in. And those of you that are logged in, please go to the Grossmont homepage if you're not already there. In order to access Canvas, we have, there's an icon in the upper right portion of the Grossmont homepage. If you click that icon, it will bring up the Canvas login page. To log in to Canvas, use your WebAdvisor login name and your 8-digit birth date.
Out of AA or actual birthday?
Actual birth date, please.
Boy, it takes forever to put on.
It does.
Oh, for a moment I thought, how the hell does it know my birthday?
Let me make sure you're actually in the,
Okay.
shot right there.
Got the wrong year? No, it just got my birthday, but the year. Yeah, where did you year? 1995.
Okay, and when you get logged into Canvas, it's going to show you what we call the dashboard. So let me know when everybody is actually logged into Canvas.
I'm preparing Windows.
Yes, I know, you're just slow today, Tim. What can I say?
My dashboard looks different.
Yes, your dashboard will look different than mine.
Yours has like sad colors, Mark. I know. Sad. Your palette.
Was it recording? Because I don't know how to do this. Because you can stand in front of the
Stand in front of the camera, okay.
Look, Mark brought his pinky.
There are Halloween treats in the back of the room.
Are they edible?
Some are, some are not. I teach medical terminology. This is the only time of year you can get body part candy. So of course, I bring candy, but for those who don't like candy, I also bring erasers and pencils and little googly eyes.
We have to use Chrome.
You have to use Chrome or Firefox.
Firefox. Do not use the only one, Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. Do not use those.
Yeah, do not
Never
use,
for
not for Canvas. Do not use
Blackboard, it works fine.
Internet Explorer
I
or
don't really
Microsoft
recommend
Edge.
it because I've had the biggest complaints on Internet Explorer. That's why I've been against that. I don't support it. Throughout my tenure here, that's been
From faculty
and students, both.
or students.
Yeah.
But it's a choice of the individual user.
Yeah. But for the scope of the day, let's use Chrome for our workshop.
So,
Okay, is everybody logged in?
Yeah, everybody looks like your Tim's the only one that's having that.
Okay. Well, we'll deal with that. So if you see in the upper left, it says account. Please click account, because the first thing we're going to do is change your password. Your password starts out as your birthday. It's easy enough for someone to find your birthday, so you don't want to keep that as your password. So click on account and then settings. Okay, is everybody on the settings page?
Almost.
Okay.
You're not.
So over on the right-hand side, there is edit settings, kind of in the middle on the right-hand side. Please click edit settings. And if you look toward the little bit to the left in the center, it says password, and there's a checkbox for change password. Please put a check in that box and then change your password. I am not going to change mine, but I'd like you to do that. And if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand if you need any assistance.
So the old password was her birthday.
Right.
Yeah. And then the only requirement for the new password, it has to be at least 8 digits, 8-digit character. But it could be lowercase, uppercase, however you want, just as long as.
Like you said, click update setting, right?
Then click update settings once you have updated your password. Twice. You have to put it in twice.
Oh, yeah.
And then click update settings.
All right, that was a good session. We'll see you next week.
There's just a little bit more today, Mark. If I know that you've got other things to do. If you look down below, we have services, web services. So there are Google Drive, Skype, LinkedIn, Twitter, Delicious. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last one. Diego, maybe? If you use any of those services, you are welcome to click on them and register them. Let's not do that now, but those are available. I don't use any of those except LinkedIn, and I'm so seldom on LinkedIn. I don't have anything linked to my profile, but they're available to you if you use them. Yeah, you use what you wish to use. They are helpful to some folks, but they're certainly not required.
You're taking Pacific time too.
Yep.
Okay, the next thing that we're going to look at in the menu on the left is notifications, and just a couple of terminology things before we move on. This on the far left is your global navigation. And then here we've got the menu for the account, because right now we're working on the account. So go ahead and click notifications. There are lots of options in the notifications. First thing to do is please check over here where it says email address and make sure that it has a valid email address. If you see a message that says update email at WebAdvisor, then you need to go into WebAdvisor and update your email there. But if you have a valid email address here, then you're in good shape. So this is kind of in the right-hand side toward the top. There are lots of options for notifications. A check mark means notify me right away. The little clock means send me a daily summary. The little calendar icon means send me a weekly summary. And the X means don't send me anything. You can choose what works best for you. It's important that you have announcements checked as notify me right away.
And that's the same type of ideas from Blackboard announcements.
They're very similar, yes. And we'll look at that later.
I mean, these aren't announcements from the school or something?
No, these
No.
are from the announcements you make.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I make.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Another one that you probably want to send to notify me right away is submission comment. So if a student submits an assignment and leaves a comment with it, you probably want to hear about that right away. If they have a question, that way you can get back to them as soon as possible.
Hey, on announcements, there's an announcement and there's an announcement created by you. Are those two different types of announcements?
I will have to pass that one to Chris.
With the announcements, I don't know when you say on that one. If you hover over them, if you notice you hover over them,
Yeah, something comes
they're
out.
pretty much, a lot of these, when you sit there and look at these, there's a lot of these that serve the students, not all of them. There's a few that serve you. So,
Oh,
new
okay.
announcement created in your course. And if that's in your course, in your course, you don't need to have that necessarily turned on. But if you're taking a course as a student, you as a student in this course, the announcement, you definitely want it to have that to say no.
And so do students need to know that?
Yes.
Yes.
So a student signs up for the class. How do they know?
There's resource, as you get through, as you progress through the course, there's resources that we're going to provide you that provide information on how a student can get easily started right away.
And I need to provide that to students, I guess?
But it'll be in the course. It'll be in the, like, you'll,
Oh,
like,
good. So it'll default that
Yes.
stuff.
there's a page we can
Yes.
import your course that will have the comments there.
Good.
And then if you hover over, if you want to hover over announcement created by you, Diane. Once we get into Unit 1, the Canvas Lab for Unit 1, which is next week, Diane will go into more of the announcement features and everything else. You notice where it says announcements created by you and replies to announcements you created. Students do have the ability to reply to announcements that you create in your course. So if I go to Susan, Susan, you have some event for your course, it's a calendar event that comes Friday, and I'm going to ask you, I can reply directly to that actual event.
Those are replies to just the instructor or replies to the whole class?
The whole class would see that.
Oh, okay.
However, you do have the option to turn that factor off so that
You know,
students
and Diane
cannot
will go-
reply.
we'll go into
We'll,
that when
again,
we
yeah,
talk
we'll
about
talk
Unit
more about that
Okay.
later. Okay, another thing that you want to have, scroll down a little bit here so you can actually see what I'm talking about.
Looks like you have a question there.
A question on the chat.
There, orange. No, that's the X. The orange, then the orange, the orange, orange.
Oh, right on the orange one. Okay.
Oh, I logged in. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Here's the arrows.
Okay. Okay, for discussions, that you probably want to get notified on a daily basis. So I don't have discussions because the only discussions are the ones that I've created. There is a feature where students can create discussions, and in that case, you might want to have a different icon checked here. I have it turned off because I'm the only one who creates discussions. So by having discussion post, then it automatically,
With discussion posts, the way that works, discussions you can have, because there's not going to be any new discussion topics during the course, so that can be turned off. You don't have to get a notification on that right away. But the discussion post, I would recommend to have that checked to be notified me right away.
oh,
Because when you work on the discussions, the assignment is you reply to the initial prompt, which is made by the instructor, and then typically you reply to at least 2 students. Well, Susan, if you get started in this course today and you make a post, you have nobody to reply to. So as you go off and do your other things, you can get notifications for when somebody else in the course, you can have that reply.
Those are email notifications or notifications?
Email notifications.
yeah, and one of the beauties of Canvas is that you get notifications through your Grossmont email. And you also, with the emails from students, those actually come to your Grossmont email as well. So if you email a student in Canvas, they can reply in Canvas. It will be in Canvas. It will also go to your Grossmont email. So if you happen to open your Grossmont email, you can reply directly there, and it goes back to the student.
To clarify that, it goes to the email, or whatever email address is on your Web Advisor account.
True, yes.
So a student might not necessarily use their Grossmont email account, their student account, they might use a Gmail or a Yahoo or whatever.
Okay.
So a lot of times when in the beginning, you want to make sure with the student, as we kind of model, like when we go through this process, this is kind of like the general process of some of the things that you'll want to tell your students as well, especially for the notifications. Typically, what I do when we do the announcements, we're going to do our first notification or our first announcement. We're going to say, "Did you get this?" We're going to ask you to reply, and then make sure, are you using the actual email? Sometimes they'll use like a throwaway email address for certain stuff like that. You want to make sure they're actually using the correct stuff.
Okay, under conversation, you probably want to know if you're added to a conversation, you want to know right away. Conversation message, new messages that come into your inbox, again, you probably want to know right away about those. If I create a conversation, I don't have notifications on for that because if I created it, I know it's there. But for the other two, recommendation definitely is to have those as notify me right away.
Is a conversation like an email to an
So
individual?
when she's gonna get down, it's the conversations inbox. She's gonna be walking through the rest of the global navigation, and we'll get to the conversations inbox. And the conversations inbox, the duration is, of course, this is how you're going to communicate to us, and this is how we're going to communicate to you. So you want to receive some level of notification that whether we send in a message, we're going to get that message from you, or when we send you a reply back, you're going to get that message from us. And then once you get to the conversations inbox, it'll make a lot more sense.
And we'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, actually going to come back up here and take a look at the dashboard. Currently, the only things showing on my dashboard are the 3 courses that I am working on now. If we go here to courses and click all courses, so courses in the global navigation and then all courses, this is a list of everything. Notice how there are orange stars next to a few of these. Those are the 3 that show in my dashboard. And if you want something to show in your dashboard, you can just go ahead and click the star. It will turn orange. And if we go back now to my dashboard, you'll see there are 4. So we'll go back to all courses for just a moment. I, as the instructor, do have access to each of your sandboxes. So let's go back to the dashboard and take a look at that. In Blackboard, we have containers. In Canvas, we have what are called sandboxes. So each sandbox represents a course. So I am currently teaching 2 sections of medical terminology. So I have a sandbox for each of those. And then this sandbox is this class, the one that says CTF4. And you mentioned the colors. If you don't like the colors, if you click the little 3 dots there, you can go ahead and change the color of, so we could make that red, for example.
All of Mark's are Dodger blue now.
Well, that's Mark's preference, and that is fine.
Unless you go with the winner.
I, for a long time, have color-coded my classes, that on-campus classes are blue and online are purple. So that's why I have the colors I have. By looking at it, it immediately tells me this is an on-campus class or this is an online class.
And how did you get that wild pattern for the introduction?
I uploaded an image and then it's in the settings. We can show you as a course.
But so it's different than mine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if we go back to courses.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, you added this.
I added one.
You don't have. Go to your courses. All courses.
Okay, so
Oh, is that different than this class?
No, okay, so first off, let's go ahead and put these two stores. These are the only two stores.
okay, if you would all please go to the all courses, I would ask that you click for the CTF4 Introduction to Teaching with Canvas and for your individual GC Canvas training with your last name. Just
Those are two different things.
those are two different things, so please click the star to the left of each of those. And then when you go back to your dashboard, you should see those two in your dashboard. Okay, does everybody have those two in their dashboard? The CTF4 and then the GC training with your last name.
Yes. Garish.
Well, fix the colors.
No, I like
That's
it.
up to you. Well, if you like it that way, then
Reminds him
Yeah.
of his wife's married life.
okay. And again, you have complete control over what shows in your dashboard. We do, for this class, request that you have both the CTF4 and your training sandbox. This class will prepare you to teach in Canvas, and we do it in a practical way. You will build out the first two modules of your actual course. That will be done in your sandbox. So the one that has Canvas training and your last name, that will be your course sandbox. So you're a student in CTF4, but you are the instructor in the GC Canvas training with your last name. And there you will be able to, again, begin building out an actual Canvas course.
It's like we are simulating as if we were teaching already as we progress.
Exactly, yes. And what I would recommend, because it will make it easier for you, is take a course you actually teach
Yeah.
and start building it out, because then next semester, you've already got those first two modules ready to go.
Proactive people here, right?
Exactly.
No.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've looked at the dashboard, we've looked at the account, we've looked at courses. We'll take a brief look at the calendar. Okay, it takes it a minute to come up. Now, you can see here, the calendar can display all of the classes. So these are things for my ongoing classes that are currently that the students have already done. The kind of brown down here is this class, and you can select in the menu on the left. How do I move?
You can move the, just hover over it and then move it.
Okay,
There we go.
there we
I
go.
do have a question in regards to creating the class. So I've never taught online, and I don't even have a class I'm going to be teaching online. I think I will, so that's why I'm taking this. So I'm starting from scratch.
Your name, Okay.
So I'm starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay, you're starting from scratch.
The class in another stage. How would it work?
No, they'll be here. They'll be attendees, and most of them will be here for students from Grossmont College.
So
Her
what I
question
mean-
is, what's the status? People think, like, I have a class in Blackboard, so
You're just copying and pasting, pretty
I
much.
hope.
I have no classes, so
Mark has
I
no
see.
class.
I have no class.
Yeah,
So
and
Mark is kind of in your position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm starting
And-
from scratch.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I have
yeah.
to write everything. I don't teach.
And-
This will give you a good foundation to get started
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
this is designed to go step by step through the process that you need to create your class. So just
Yeah, 'cause
pick
I took the other course you guys had.
the templates one.
One, at one.
From that one, or,
Indoctrination
Yeah.
from that one. Yeah, that's separate from this one.
Oh,
This one will give you more of the practical hands-on
I
work
got
to give you an understanding of how to put all the pieces together.
okay.
And give you more of a framework that you can work with.
Okay.
And then so that's the framework, so then it could be
in-person classes as well.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, even
Because I
like,
have access to those.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be more of an encouragement throughout the board that whether you're teaching online or hybrid course like in your situation, or with Yusuf here, he's only doing face-to-face right now. There's going to be more of an encouragement to use Canvas in general. A lot of times too, I mean, I don't know if you've been here since 2010, power went out all across. I mean, we've had certain emergencies where we've had to shut down Canvas class. So what they're trying to do is they want to keep class going. So if you're on campus and everything else, and then something happens on campus in your face-to-face course, there's no excuse. You can still do your course online. And also, it's a great way for you to communicate with your students too. If something happens, don't come to camp. You know, it's great to communicate.
They've been complaining. Like,
Right.
you don't use Blackboard, I feel like I'm so Asian.
That is so much better. It's
Yeah.
good that you're here. No, you don't have any Blackboard stuff. It's much better. It starts out fresh.
Okay, well, just briefly, a couple of things about the calendar. If you look over here on the side, you can see that there are a number of courses. If there's a colored icon, that indicates they will show in the calendar. I noticed that a bunch of my old classes were still there. And of course, nothing shows because they're old classes, but I did click so that there's now no color, so that's not going to show up.
And so this calendar is what you see, and then an individual color associated with an individual class, your students will also have access to that calendar. Is that true?
They will have access to the calendar for their class. See, this
Yeah,
is a
okay.
combination of classes, but they will have access to the calendar for their class. Okay, we will talk more about calendar later. Let's take a look now at the conversations inbox.
Conversations.
So this is the email portion.
I don't have a high adjustment.
Well, no, these are my actual email messages from all of my students. Now, over here, we have the drop down. Right now it says all courses. I can go here, and if I click there, I don't have any messages because this class just started today, so there's no email for this class. So I can go to a single class. Here's more courses. I'm not working with those right now. Also over here, there's a drop down and I can figure out which messages I want to look at. In addition to the email messages, so I've got unread, starred, sent, archived, I can look at submission comments here. And again, because this class hasn't begun, I don't have any submission comments. So I'm going to go back to my inbox. If I want to send a message, in the upper right, just past center, is a little leaf icon. Notice when I hover over that, it says compose a new message. I do have the option of sending a group message, but sending an individual message to each recipient. Okay, it would help if I could type properly. That would be nice if I could spell my name.
And now she's typing too, so with the course, you want to make sure you select the right course.
Yeah, now notice up here, you can select which course you want this to go to. And you also have the option here. If I wanted to send it to a single person, I could start typing their name. So for example, I wanted to send it to Chris. But over here on the right-hand side, with the people icon, okay, it's not going to do it because I've got something in there. That will give me a drop-down menu, and I can send it to groups. So if I want to send it to everybody in the class, I can click on that and click send.
I don't think we're getting that right.
You don't have the box that.
Yeah, we don't have that part, but it's okay, guys.
What don't you have?
We don't have the two, we cannot connect. Even if I click here.
You have to select the course.
I see.
Select the course.
Do you have any manual?
So there's, make sure you select the course.
I see,
So make sure you select CTF4, and then you have to.
Okay, now everybody should have gotten a message from me. Okay. And if I go here and go to sent, then I can see that I sent this message, and it shows me all the folks that I sent it to.
Have you gotten any?
Okay, so Tim Cliff is telling me that Mark Goodman's going to give me a free lunch. Somehow I think that is not Mark's offer, but Tim's. So we'll pass on that one. Anyway, this is a very robust tool. It's easy to respond to messages. I would like to take a quick look at the Commons. The Commons,
And I'll be back.
okay. The Commons is a resource available in Canvas, and there is a wealth of information here. My suggestion is to look at one or two things because it is a wealth of information. You can see just here, if we go to modules, you can see a bunch of different modules that folks have created.
Who are these folks who have created this? Just
Other instructors that work on Canvas
from around the.
from all over. Yes, you see these are public resources.
So we have no idea how good they are.
We don't. We certainly could figure out who they are and look into them more. Yes.
It says comments requesting access to an account. So should I click?
Yeah, click authorize, yeah.
Yes, go ahead and authorize on that. So we're not going to take a whole lot of time on Commons today. Very important here is help. As I believe we mentioned earlier, Grossmont College has 24/7 Canvas support. So if you're working on something at 3 in the morning and you can't figure it out in Canvas, first, you can look at the Canvas guides. There are Canvas guides.
How did you get to that?
Here on the help screen.
Oh,
So you can ask your instructor a question. If you have questions about the class itself, feel free to contact me. If you have a question about how Canvas works, please contact Canvas. And excuse me just a minute. Go ahead and get logged into the computer, please. And once you're logged into the computer,
Sorry, I was at a office.
okay, so once you get logged in,
Something
I know that everybody's doing that. Once you get logged in, go to the Grossmont homepage, and in the upper right is the little icon for Canvas. Click on that icon.
This is
and
Commons,
then
yeah.
Ask your instructor a question. Can we eliminate that?
I don't believe that you can eliminate that. Okay, so search the Canvas guides. That was what I clicked on. Find answers to common questions. Now, when you click that, all the guides come up. You can see the Canvas guides, catalog, community, mobile, ARC. If you click Canvas guides,
What is our?
I don't know. I would have to find out.
DSPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that
Oh,
what that is?
that's where it is.
Accessibility resource.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
DSPS.
ARC info. It's not-
So-
it's not a GIS.
There are
It's not ARC. ARC GIS. There
several
is ARC.
separate Canvas guides for an instructor, a student, an admin, or an observer. Since we're instructors, I'm going to bring that up. And there is a wealth of information here. So in instructors, we're always interested in grading. So let's take a look at grades. So here are questions that are answered with regard to grading. So here we'll go to how do I enter and edit grades in the grade book. And you can see it gives you a step-by-step guide.
So, are we putting in the grades here as opposed to WebAdvisor then? We no longer use WebAdvisor?
We use WebAdvisor for semester grades, but for individual, I call them scores instead of grades. For individual, if a student takes a quiz or finishes a project or submits an assignment, those would be submitted. That's what they're talking about here. So assignments, quizzes. Now, if your quiz is in Canvas, the student takes the quiz and it's automatically populated into the grade book just like Blackboard. And for assignments, it depends on how your assignment is set up, but if it can be graded automatically, it will automatically. And Tina, are you?
I'm in.
Are you in and are you?
I'm in the resources. I'm trying to find what grades are.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Whoops. Okay.
I found it.
Okay. So again, lots of resources. It can be a little bit overwhelming. My suggestion is when you need something, look here. If you don't find it here, then call Canvas support. That's the process that I use. Frequently, I can find the information I need here, but when I don't, Canvas support is always incredibly helpful. So let's go ahead and come back here. Ask the community. You can ask folks who are already working in Canvas, and you can see there are a number of different options here. I don't want to go into a lot of time on this. Submit a feature. If there's a feature that you think should be available in Canvas, you can go ahead and submit that. They're actually submitted to the community, and people vote as to whether that would be a good feature. So that's an interesting part of Canvas, but we aren't going to go into that a lot. Call for help. Again, these phone numbers are available, 724. It's the same phone number for students or instructors. And notice they're site specific. So we've got a Grossmont number, there's a Cuyamaca number. As I mentioned previously, for this class, if you have a question about the content of the class, ask me. If you have a Canvas question, anything from logging in to how do I put this here, any of those questions, first, check the Canvas guides. But if you can't find an answer, call Canvas support. They are always incredibly helpful. And again, if this happens at 3 in the morning, someone is there, someone will answer the phone, and someone will help you.
Oh, Chris Rogers himself.
Well, if you'll notice, Chris Rogers' cell phone number is not here. So no, you do not call Chris Rogers on his cell phone. You call Canvas. Now, if you have a
I
problem.
run a website, so no, too, so I can manage that as well. You can put yourself on.
I won't answer, but go ahead.
Anyway, if you have a Canvas issue, contact Canvas. If you have an issue with the class itself, contact me. And if you have a problem, I've always had very good luck with Canvas support, but if you ever have a problem with Canvas support, please contact me and Chris and let us know what happened.
But also to be clear, the Grossmont number 1-844-600-4953 That is also for student support as well. Any technical issues or login issues students are having with Canvas, there's no on-campus, you can't send students to admission records with a tech phone or anything else. The first point of support for students, they have to call that number.
Yeah, so if a student has any problem with Canvas, it would be the same thing as with this class. If it's a problem or a question about the class itself, you contact the instructor. If it's a problem or question about Canvas, they go directly to Canvas support, same phone number. Okay, so I'm going to close out some of these windows. And I closed myself right out of Canvas. I apologize. Give me a minute to get logged back in. Okay, so we are now going to go into this class. When you come into the class, you come in on the home page. The home page gives you quick access to course information. Notice we have buttons so we could look at announcements. Right now it's a brand new class. We don't have announcements. The course syllabus is available. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Modules. Working through the course, you will work in modules, and we'll again look more closely at those in just a moment. And discussions. So here are the discussions that will be available during this course. Well, right. So grades, this is the grade book for the class. So this is where we will be inputting your grades and where you will input your students' grades. And again, we'll look more at that. People. These are the people involved in the class. So you can click on a person.
Can I drop my crease?
No, we're not going to do that. Now, the biography that I have here obviously applies to my medical terminology class, not to this class, but since it's a global biography, you can go back to people. We have chat. You can see there are folks online. So you can chat within the course, and we've already looked at settings somewhat. We'll look at that more.
And do you find that used by students a lot in real time? Or do you know?
I don't really know. I have chat turned off in my class.
For the class.
For the
itself?
class,
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so in this class it's on, but I have it turned off in my classes, so.
I'd imagine if you had a quiz going or something like that, it'd be a bad feature to have on.
Yeah, I prefer not to have it on.
And so by that, you don't let students talk to each other through chat. Is that what that means?
Right, the students are not, but it's a personal preference. And you may want to have it on for certain things. We have discussions, and there's the email, there's the discussions. I don't feel the need to have chat turned on, and that's my personal preference. Okay, we do need to talk a little bit about the class. So we're going to start. Notice we've got links. The links here are for each of the modules. This is a 5-week course. There's a link for each unit. There's a unit for each week. And there's also an orientation module. So let's take a look at the orientation module. We highly recommend this video. It is about 11 minutes long. We aren't going to go through it now, but you can see we have welcome, we have information. Important to remember, this is about 5 weeks long. We will have a lab every week, except for right before Thanksgiving. You get a day off for Thanksgiving there. Very important to be aware that as of January, Blackboard will no longer be available for teaching. You will not be able to use it to teach. Now, you will be able to go in and look at data from previous classes and that sort of thing, but you will not be able to make a Blackboard container available to students as of January.
So I'll still be able to go in and see my stuff.
Right.
You know how long that?
Yeah, how long that?
This is a class for instructors.
Yes, Dina.
How long can we be able to access our Blackboard?
Your old content for the entire spring semester, but comes summer, Blackboard's done.
Okay, and so for that spring semester, can it talk to Canvas? Is there a way I can?
We'll get by Unit 5, you'll understand how to migrate certain pieces of content. You won't be able to migrate everything. There's a special process now to do that, but you will be able to learn how to migrate your stuff.
Yeah.
In other words, I'll still have access next semester to my stuff in Blackboard.
Right.
Right.
So we just want to make it, we're going to be redundantly clear. You cannot do anything for your spring semester for your students because you're not any spring containers that are there. You're not going to be able to make anything available to students for spring.
But I can get my old stuff.
Correct.
Diane, I have to run off to the lab.
Okay,
So
yes, I know.
I'm going to account and I'm assuming log out.
Yes. Account and log out when you're finished. Very good.
So Mark, when you go, we'll have a welcome email address. We'll send out a recording of this orientation. So at 1 o'clock, you can watch it from where that's left off. Otherwise, you'll want to read the information that's on.
Yeah, I'll take care of that and then I can also consult with Tim.
I'm sure Tim will be a great resource and he'll be able to help you in any way possible,
I'll have my spring stuff.
as long as he gives you
Do
free
you have
lunch.
your cell
Yes.
phone in there too?
Yes. It's 911.
Okay.
I think so.
Now, in this class, you will have the opportunity to work ahead by one module. If you have completed the current module and your submissions have been scored, then you will be able to move on to the next module. Right now, they're all available. Pardon?
Is that how you run your normal classes too?
No, I do it a few days ahead rather than a full, but this is not my class, this is a joint class. And there again, that's a matter of instructor preference. You can set it up to make future, you could have the whole class open at the very beginning of the semester if that was what you wanted to do. It's a matter of your preference. We will have, again, a weekly lab. These are not required. They will be at this time. Again, with the exception of the week of Thanksgiving, there's no lab that week. You're welcome to come.
Here.
Aren't we in 534 for the rest of them,
You're gonna be
Chris?
in 534. So what these labs are is each week we have, so modules, the top of each topic will start the beginning, start on Monday, coursework's due on the following Sunday. You go to your calendar, you can see the whole schedule that's there. So each week we're going to talk about the module in focus, or the unit in focus. So unit 1 is talking about how to create announcements, how to use the profile, everything else. Once we talk about that and we kind of learn some of the issues that you have about it, then we kind of prep you for the next module, unit 2. And it's been it's been very beneficial. The ones that have done really well in this course, they've attended these on a regular basis. If you're not able to attend, again, it's not required. We post, as you can see with the recording and everything else with Diane on the screen, we're actually recording this right now, and then we upload these to YouTube that you can also watch later on.
Yeah, so you'll have access, but it is extremely helpful. It is recommended that you come, but everybody has a busy schedule. If you can come, we'd love to see you. It will be helpful, but if you can't come, the recordings will be available.
There's
a lot of information. We go beyond what's in the actual course instructions. We go beyond those things.
So the next lab will be on Wednesday, November 1st at 1 p.m. in 534. The original format for this class did come from @ONE. It has, however, been heavily adjusted by Chris so that it is much more focused on Grossmont's needs. It's not as generic as what we got. It's been updated considerably so that it pertains to our campus as opposed to just being generic. Most people will take about 5 to 8 hours a week to do the classwork. It varies considerably based on your technical ability. Again, if you have questions, feel free to contact me. Anything to do with the course, let me know. If you have an issue with Canvas, contact Canvas support. They're always available to you. Okay, we do have a final project. The final project, again, will be putting together the first 2 modules of an actual course. So we'll do an outline, we'll put together announcements, assessments. That will be due at the very end. Do make sure that you have read the course syllabus. It goes into nice detail about what's expected. And notice here at the very bottom, it says, before you go, there is a Mark as Done button located at the top right-hand corner of the page. So if you go up to the top of the page, I'm going to go into student view. Right now I'm in instructor view. Now to go into student view, you're going to click settings on the left, and then on the right, click student view.
Now take note, you're not able to do this because you're a student in this
Yeah,
course.
you will not be able to
So
do this,
when you're
but
in your actual training sandbox, you'll be able to go in student view. That's a good way to proofread to make sure that your content is displayed in the manner you want.
yeah, basically before I open, I always go through and check in student view. Now, a couple of things with regard to student view. Down here, we have reset and leave student view. Leave student view closes student view, but it saves whatever you've done. And if you have requirements for students to move forward, your test student will not be able to move forward unless you've done those requirements. Reset student view will completely obliterate anything your test student did. So I like to use the student view, go through as if I were a student, make sure that I can do what I'm asking my students to do before I release the module to the student so that I know the links work and that sort of thing. Yes?
But can I edit the module later after I already produced it to my students?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so we're going to now go into getting started from student view. Notice it has a number. Actually, I'm going to go back to the modules and look at it there. Notice that everything has a number. The numbering convention is very helpful. If a student contacts you and says, I have a problem with the discussion, well, you might have 4 different discussions. But if the student contacts you and says, I have a problem with 0.5 introduction, you know exactly where to go to look for the problem. One of the first things that we'll be doing in this class is creating the outline for those first 2 modules. And again, we'll look at that a little bit more later.
So for the class, this class, are you wanting us to number things like that?
For your outline and for your modules, yes. And we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, notice here in the upper right, it's green and says done. So once you've completed what's on that page, this will say mark as done, and when you click done, then it will turn green and you'll see the done. When you have completed it, you come down to the very bottom of the page and you have next. Here, brief information about Chris and myself. And again, just click
Which one's
next. I'll let you figure that out. Next, we have the schedule for all of the labs.
Okay, so we can't get to that because it's not been unlocked yet.
You have to do the first one, mark as done, and go forward. Yes,
Yeah,
you won't
okay.
get to it until you have done the previous items in the module.
Hey, was that .1 and .4, are those defaults?
No, that's hard. I wrote those hardcore.
Yeah, that's the way that this is set up.
Okay,
Um,
so those are not default names at all.
no, this is, the numbering convention is not a Canvas thing. It's a Grossmont thing because it makes it so much easier
Grossmont thing.
to find things. It's a suggestion. You don't have to use it.
I can use whatever names I want, like week 1, week 2.
For the scope of this course and for your content item, yes, we want to sit there for what we're trying to get information for what you're developing. Yes, I want to be able to sit there and number 0.4, whatever, as far as that practice. However, afterwards, after this course is done, if you don't believe in that practice, you don't want to apply it, you don't have to do it for your own course. But for the time and for what
For
we're
this
doing-
course, it's .1.
For this course, it's
Yeah.
required,
Yeah,
yes.
those are the 5 different weeks.
And so just to
1.1.
clarify what that means, so 0.4, that's the orientation module. So in my mind, 0, the first, kind of, I don't consider it the first module, 0, and then that's item number 4. So if you have this second module, so the second module, if you go to my module.
Yeah, let's go back to modules. Okay, so here,
Okay, so getting started orientation is the first module.
Right, well, that's
Right.
0, and then unit 1, can we leave student view?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at student view now, if we go down to the unit 1, introduction to Canvas, now we sit there and see the way the module is laid out is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. So as we go down, we have 1.5. That's one assignment you're going to be doing in your Canvas training course. I know automatically as an instructor, I don't even have to look at this. I know that's module number 1, item number 5. So the reason why we recommend that for you folks is as you're trying to communicate with your students, as you're trying to figure out stuff, it's a great way to communicate automatically. You know what their assignment is. Not to mention the fact when you're communicating to us, when you talk to me specifically, I can't tell you how many times where somebody will contact me and say, Chris, can you look at my graded quiz? Chapter 1 graded quiz. And then I'll go in their course and they'll have 5 quizzes with the same title in it. I have no idea what they're talking about. But if you label your stuff correctly and you label the one that you're actually using, 1.6, 2 things. Number 1, I can find the quiz automatically, and then I don't have to learn how your course is designed. I can automatically go in, find your thing, and then help save on support time. So for the scope of this course, yes, use this system. But again, it's not recommended. It's not a requirement if you don't feel it's practice.
Do you have lots of support-related questions? I mean, like, what is that? Do my students call you typically?
No, if students are going to have any issues, they're going to call the technical issues. They're going to call the Canvas number. But if they're going to ask you about a specific assignment, not Canvas related, the scope of the assignment, then they have a code in which they can communicate with you, and you can easily understand what they're referring to.
yeah,
I mean, I'm going to know my course inside and out, so I mean, I'll know what somebody's referring to.
but
But the
instead
student might
of,
not be able to, because the student's trying to get used to your course. This convention has really been helpful for faculty members and students to be able to communicate.
for example, a student might say, I'm having a problem with my quiz. Well, my course has a quiz every other week, so I wouldn't know what quiz if they didn't tell me which quiz, that kind of thing.
Here's another issue. A lot of these items here are content pages. If you can scroll up in the course menu and then click on pages. It's in the middle, right at the bottom.
Yeah, yours are in a different order than mine.
and then say view all pages. So if you look up on the screen here, as you know here, when we go up here, we have all my stuff here. These are pages that I've written. This is all content that you guys are going to be reading and everything else. Kind of hard to see, but as an instructor here, I can sit there and look and say 2.2. I know that's module 2, item number 2, that's the lab schedule. Here is the 3.1 overview. I know where all of these things are. It's easy for me to figure out. Now scroll down on the page.
And it doesn't let you do anything hierarchially.
Not, and this is just a listing. This is just a wiki.
Or
Now,
it
as
doesn't
we
even
go
let
through
a
here,
hierarchical
now
list.
look through here. These numbers are not, these are not labeled. No numbering convention possible. I have no idea where this is going because I didn't start doing this until the third time I actually started teaching this course. So this is the first, all of this, and it's just, you don't have to scroll down, but if you scroll down, there's a lot more content there that's not labeled properly. So if I ever come to a point where I have an issue in this course, and I have a couple times already, we're trying to find content, it's going to be a challenge for me to figure out where all this stuff is.
To me, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. So this helps the management
Tree
of the numbers
structure
and
is a
stuff.
no-brainer though too.
It helps, but with the way the Canvas is designed like that,
do tree
doesn't
structure.
let you do. So I can't recommend enough the numbering convention.
Okay, so 0.4, this is about notifications. Want to call your attention, here at the bottom, there are resources,
And so I can't get into 0.4 at this point because I haven't got.
because
that
you haven't
far,
done the
right?
other
Okay.
things yet. Right. But once you get there, whenever you see resources here at the bottom, you want to make sure that you look at those. We'll go ahead and, now this is actually from the Canvas guides. And this is written for students, but it works also for instructors. And again, you can see we have step-by-step instructions how to do it.
And that was the instructor choice to not let me look at those until I do them in order. That was an instructor choice.
Yes, you don't have to. This class is set up so that it works sequentially, but you don't have to set your class up sequentially. And we'll go into how to do that or how to not do that later on. Okay, we will, as part of the introductory module, have a graded discussion. It's an introduction. There's an optional game that you can include. Now, there's also a rubric. If you look at the upper right, there's a little gear icon that has a drop-down menu. One of the choices there is show rubric. So you can include a rubric with any assignment. And we show the criteria. This is a 4-point assignment. 2 points are based on the response to the prompt. If the post includes the required elements in a thorough and thoughtful manner, the student gets 2 points. If one of the required elements is missing, the student only gets 1 point. And if there wasn't anything posted or more than one of the required elements is missing, the student gets 0 points. And then the reply, so this is 2-part. So the initial post is due Sunday at 11:59, and the replies are also due Sunday at 11:59.
Not this Sunday, it's going to be the following.
The following
You
Sunday,
don't have to go
right.
through the schedule again, but if you notice where it says at the very far right under the gear icon,
Due November 5th.
due November 5th. That's the section.
And that's for the responses, correct?
That's for the entire,
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
So we're starting this orientation today, Wednesday, but officially, I'm not sitting here saying that the course doesn't start until coming Monday. I don't have a calendar for me, so I don't know what date that is. So the officially course starts Monday, and then Sunday, all the getting started orientation and the Unit 1 stuff will be due. So you guys, actually, for your course right now, Usually faculty members have had about a week to do their stuff, but with the way this schedule worked and why this was scheduled on Wednesday, for the first 2 modules, for the first unit, the getting started orientation in unit 1, you have a week and a half to get that done. And those 2 are really easy. So by the time we meet next week, you could be on the module 2 if you want that.
Yeah.
I'll Diane. But she'll go over the schedule too once we get through the rest of the module.
Okay, lot of information. Is this your first online class? And be aware that anything that is included in this class, you're welcome to steal it and put it in your class. So for example, the core rules of netiquette, this is kind of quick, but has some great information. You are welcome to add that to your class. Again, any of the resources that are available here, you're welcome to put into your own class.
Are we going to have access to this once we are done with the course? Can we go back and review it?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. I can still get in. I took this class in the spring semester, and I can still go back and look at my stuff. And yeah, it's very, very helpful.
You just copy the link. Is that how you?
Actually, for when we get to the Unit 2 lab, I'd recommend you guys come because there's a lot of stuff I put up on the Campus Commons that we can import. We can bring. There's a lot of stuff I'll be
You
getting.
can import that how you copy them.
Yeah, through importing via the Commons. It's a great way to understand how you folks can share content with your department and everything else. And then a lot of this stuff will be helpful for you. Keep in mind though, the content that we give you and the content you steal from here, is not going to count towards your final product.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll show us how to import and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That's going to be
yeah,
modules.
that's
So
coming up.
If there's any lab that you want to come to, definitely try to come to the Unit 2.
And again, when someone finishes an item in a module, if there is a mark as done, they click mark as done, and then just click next. Okay. Beginning your course outline is one of the assignments in the orientation module. So we've got an overview. What is an outline? This is how you do it. We have a sample. This is an outline for this course for the first 2 modules. So you can see the convention. Now notice after each name, there is something in parentheses and all caps. These are very useful both for the instructor and the student. It tells the student what is going on here. So, welcome, you read it. Meet your facilitators, you read it. Weekly meetings, you read it. Notifications, you read it. Now, the introduction discussion, that's a graded discussion. So by going through here, the student knows what they need to do. Online class, read. Create the outline, that's a hands-on graded assignment. And then finally, don't forget, read. So it's very useful to have that information in your outline, both for you, because then you know exactly what's going on, and for the students. They know exactly what they're expected to do for that particular assignment.
Are those default terms, or use
You
your
can
own?
use them whenever they are. The whole main point of it is, can you go back to the course? Modules.
Yeah.
We found that a lot of times when you sit here and ignore, let's pretend that these aren't here. You have indicators right here as far as what each content, we call them content items, what they actually are. So if, Diane, if you can hover over 0.4, hover over the, you can see that's a wiki page. And then if you hover over the discussion right under that, that's a discussion. So as the student's going over, no student's going to be able to do that, and they're not going to understand what those icons are. So I wanted to add this as a quick visual way for you to be able to sit there and also know from a student point of view what they need to do. And also, when you learn to create all of this, and as you see a listing, click on for getting started, click on the plus button. As you go through, if you're imagining an instructor, you don't have the actual numbers and you don't have the context, you just have the titles here. It can be very confusing as far as, okay, what's what and what am I trying to discern here? So as a way here, it's having the numbers here and having the context. It's a real visual way for me to be able to sit there and know that I'm creating my modules in the order that I need to, I'm doing them correctly.
And each one of those like 0.2, can you have other stuff in it?
Say that again?
See where there's 0.2, 0.3, what do you call those?
These right here?
Yeah, those are called.
I call them, I mean, in general, they're all content items. But
Okay,
some of
in a
them are,
content item, can you put sub-items?
yeah, they're just pages. They have a rich content item. You can
Good, so there, it
Yeah,
does
you
have like a tree structure.
You can create whatever you want.
I want to put in there.
Well, you can indent these items if you're talking about as far as indentation. A lot of these things, when you look at the actual, first go back to modules, I mean, when you're talking about a tree structure and stuff like that, the items that you need to read, I keep far left. Any assignment work, when it breaks up, as far as my tree works, that's an assignment that you have to do. That should be an individual.
I'm just saying, under 0.7, I could have 3 things in there. Is that true?
Well, that's an assignment. So when she clicks on this, and then you go to the actual assignment, you can create what you want there. I don't know if there's any additional stuff.
Can I make subfolders?
No. This is just
Like, let's say you have well, for me, I have an assignment where I have a video that the students have to watch.
Right.
I have a document that they have to read.
Right.
That could all go in that.
You can embed
Yep.
those items in the actual page itself.
If we go back here to the
So that's essentially a subfolder.
welcome, you
Not
can
necessarily.
see
Within it.
that we have a link.
In
We've got
Blackboard,
the
you create
video.
subfolders. Right. So
You can't create full, no. When we're talking about the actual, go back to the modules. Let me just do this real quick.
Okay.
When you're creating when you're having new specific areas, when you're talking about Blackboard folders, the equivalent is the actual module itself.
yeah. and I don't
So
know
as
what
far as the actual thing, that's the equivalent right here. So when you're looking as far as something like Tino's wanting to do, create content to add stuff, you can go into an actual page. This is an actual content page. I can't create a tree structure. I can't add new folders and stuff like that, but I can embed a video. You have a video
But can
actually
I
there.
embed 5 videos there?
Yeah.
You could, yes,
Yeah,
however
so
many you want
It
it.
lets you put stuff in.
Yeah, but
Yes.
it's not when you say, but I wanted to make it clear that's not a quote unquote folder. I'm
Right.
just adding
So
stuff
I
to an
can use
actual
it as a,
page.
whatever you want to call it. I can use it to hierarchially organize material.
Yes, you can do that. I just want to make sure we're on the same language as far as where we're going. You can embed stuff on a page, but it's not typically like a folder.
Okay, so we took a quick look at the getting started. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Unit 1. Now, for Unit 1, we do suggest that each unit start with an overview. This would be something the student will read, and it's going to tell the student, what are we trying to show you? What are we trying to teach you? What are you going to do to learn that? And notice that there are links for each of the items. So that would take me to 1.3. Now, Tim, you were talking about subfolders. You can. So we've got what is Canvas, Canvas from the student view. So we can have a number of items on this page with information. And again, this one has the mark as done. We go into Canvas from the student view. Now, when you go into these items, notice that there is a ton of information. We do not expect you to go into each of these individual items and read them as well. My suggestion is if you see something here that you think would be useful, go ahead and bookmark it. But for the purposes of this course, you don't have to read all of that. What you have to read is what's on the page here. So you do want to read each of the tabs but if you click into a list of information from the tab, you don't need to read all of that. Another very nice feature of Canvas is that it has lots and lots of video tutorials. Here we've got one on the rich content editor. And I go back to the modules and just quickly go through because we're almost out of time.
If you could get to one of the actual assignments on my video.
Okay, you want to look at edit profile maybe?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. And talk about the video that I have on it.
Okay, so again, for the assignment, we've got the overview, the instruction. Now, for many of the assignments, you will be submitting a URL from your sandbox so that we can go to your sandbox and look at whatever you've created. Chris has created a video on how to do that, and it's available here. For each of the assignments, do you want to actually play the video?
You can expand this a little bit more. So with these actual videos that we have here, the ones that I actually created, they give you a reference on how we want the actual assignment to be actually submitted. So if I make this a little bigger right now. So for this one, for Unit 1, the edit profile assignment, what we're actually having you do, what we're actually asking you to do is, create your profile, everything else. And then you would submit a URL address. However, the problem is if you were to submit, if you can't sit there and see this online, it just says gccd.instructure.com/profile. If you were to submit that for your assignment, so I could view your profile, Tina, the problem is that address will take me to my own profile. There's a specific one there. So in the video, I show you how to find the correct URL address that you need to submit to me. Also in the instructions, we do explain what the correct URL address should look like. If it looks something like this, right up here, that has a unique user ID that points to that profile, that would be great and that would be correct. If it's this one, like I said, the profile one, that would be incorrect. So we want to make it clear that as you're working through your assignments and with this URL address, because as we go through this course, it continues to be an issue. If you submit the incorrect URL address, even if you did the assignment correctly, automatic 0. We will send you a message stating we've rated it an automatic 0 and you have up until the deadline date to correct it. What we also encourage you to do is before you're submitting something, if you're unsure on whether or not you're submitting us the correct, go into the conversations inbox, send Diane a message, say, Diane, I'm about to submit my profile assignment. Here's the address I'm about to submit. Is it correct? Great. If it's great, you submit the assignment. If it's not, we'll make sure we'll get you the correct assignment. When you watch these videos, watch it first and don't do anything other than take whatever notes you feel is necessary. There's been a trend for instructors. They'll watch the video, they'll have it, and they'll play it, and they'll have it going on, and then they'll follow through all the work at the same time. And considering they don't know what's coming out throughout the video, they make mistakes, they get hurt on the assignment. So watch the video first run, take notes, and then on the second run, you're more than welcome to actually go through and do everything else. Now, when we actually talk about there's required reading items, like we mentioned with the instructional content, like I said, with these, you could quickly read through these tabs and everything else to get an idea of what's going on and just use these links as reference items. But when we look at the actual hands-on assignments, the required reading items that would be more important for the completion of like the work that you need to complete or anything under the resources section. I find these personally more important than the actual instructional content. I want you to read the instructional content, but I put more emphasis on what's under these. And so take note that anything that says hands-on, that's automatically an indicator. That's work that you're going to be doing in your GC Canvas training sandbox. So those are the kind of things that, as we're coming up. That leaves us with about 4 minutes ahead. I think the thing that we would want to clarify now is to go through with our schedule. I want to go to the actual calendar. So as we talked about, the unit officially begins today, but the actual course starts, we're starting it on Monday. And then all of your course content, all of the items here is going to be due on Friday or Sunday by 11:59 p.m. So as far as late work policy is concerned, if you're late on your assignment submissions, you don't submit your work, it's Monday at 12:10 in the morning or the following morning. You submit your work late, automatic 0 for the assignment, but you still have to submit your work before you can move on to the next month. Now, if you have issues, please communicate with us. We're willing to work with you. We understand you're busy and everything else. If you have a certain issue or some emergency comes up and you're not able to get your work, send us proper prior notification, with an ample notification with enough time ahead, and we'll be able to work with you and making accommodations for your actual work. It's for the ones that don't communicate and communicate with us on any level about your situation, then that we're going to adhere to the late work policy.
And from the instructor perspective, how do you do that? You set up a different date for an individual if you know they're going to be in the hospital that weekend. Are you able to?
Considering that I only have one, considering you usually do one course to manage and everything else, there's specific ways to make the adjustments on the actual assignment that we can actually show you. But for me, it's not much of an issue. I just make note of it on my personal thing, and then I work with you accordingly.
But does Canvas allow you to set up a different?
Yeah, I'll show that to you real quickly. So
You can have a due date and also have availability dates so that the availability date can extend beyond the due date.
So for example,
a given student.
Yeah, for example, Tim, let's say on this 1.7 discussion, you're taking Mark to the hospital for some reason. He broke his leg. I can scroll down here. You notice where it says assigned to everyone. So as everyone, this is due by November 5th.
Right.
Okay, but there's an exception I want to make for Tim Cliff. So I'm going to type in Tim's name here. And then I could sit there and say, Tim, your stuff is, I'm going to give you until, till Wednesday the 8th to get your work in. And notice what happens here. Assigned to says Timothy Cliff, but up in the top, instead of everyone, it said everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
it's really a nice feature.
No, that's it. It's that easy? No, there's no way to do that.
It's so easy.
Adaptive release is a pain. I don't like it. But I personally don't. I know Diane might use that option. I don't know whether she will or not.
I do.
You do? Okay. Well, I'm just saying for this course.
Oh, for this course. Oh.
For this course specifically. But so that's how we actually work with that kind of stuff. The getting started orientation. So as we go through, and what I'm really considering is the getting started orientation in Unit 1 is the same thing.
That's week 1.
That's our week 1. That's our so you could get started on that today, and you have a week and a half to do it. So if you get that done, and then depending on Diane's schedule and she grades your stuff, then you could go ahead and move on to module 2, and then you can stay up ahead and be up ahead on this stuff. And if there's ever a point in time where you sit there and you grade, you complete an assignment, you want to move ahead, just send her a message. Hey,
Yeah,
I completed this work. She'll grade it as soon as she can.
Any other questions?
Let's see if there's anything else that we needed to cover.
All right.
Nope.
That's pretty much it.
I think the last thing, 2 weeks of inactivity. Automatic drop.
And if you need to drop, we understand. Everybody's busy, but do be aware if you do drop, you will not be able to teach online in the spring semester most likely. So we'll work with you. If you have challenges, please let us know. Again, we'll understand if you do need to drop, but there is that caveat that if you're going to teach online in spring, you need to have this class.
And then also, I don't believe you mentioned it, but as far as passing this course, it's 80% to pass this course. You get a certificate of completion and then 20 hours of professional development credit, which will apply for the spring 2018 semester. So we thank you. We look forward to working with you. So as the course starts, if you have any questions about the course, you can always contact Diane through the conversations inbox, clicking the composed message, selecting the CTF4 course, and then you can just go ahead and type in Diane's name, and her name will come up. And then she'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, you have the Canvas 24/7 support number for any technical issues. That's it.
Thank you for coming.
All right.
And yeah, definitely, if you have any questions at all, let me know. And we'll get you up and running, get you feeling comfortable.
Gotta log off, just only does shut down pretty much. Is that okay, shut down?
But should,
I did control, delete, and log out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Anytime, take care.
thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Bye, Di-Fi.
Bye, Tim. Take care. See you next week.
Okay.
Stop the recording.